It's winter time now in the UK, it's November time, and it's the time where we really start thinking about putting some meat on our bones. So in the UK we start thinking about making stews, and I'm going to create a chicken stew out of some chicken thighs, which I've basically skinned, trimmed the fat off. I've got 2 leeks, clove of garlic, some chicken stock. I've got some potatoes, I've got a couple of celery sticks, I've got some carrots, some parsnips, mushrooms, I've got some bay leaf, some sage and a little bit of rosemary to add some flavour to our stock. And we're going to throw in some mushrooms, and just for some colour we have the bit of red pepper. And what we're going to do, we're going to cook this for about 45 minutes. So on a small plate I've seasoned some flour. That's just plain flour, salt and pepper. And what we're going to do now, we're just going to take our chicken thighs and we're going to pat these in the flour. Get a covering on them. And then pat off any excess. And what we're going to do now that's seasoned, we're going to drop these into a frying pan, and then we're going to lightly fry these to get a bit of colour on them, and then we'll add them to our stock. It was only a couple of tablespoons flour. You don't need to go overboard. What this will do when we're cooking this will add to the stock and help to thicken the stock. Make sure it's all nicely covered. Pat off the excess. You don't want big dollops of flour in it, just a little bit. And what we'll try to do here, we'll try to take the skin off this to make it a little bit healthier for you. I know we're frying, but we're cooking in olive oil. We're only using a couple of tablespoons, so hopefully everything's going to be more healthy than if you left it with the chicken skin on. So this is our chicken frying away. Now what we don't want to do is let it burn, but we really don't want to move it too much either, because you want to get some colour on it. So with a pair of tongs, I'm just going to have a quick flip over the first one I put in, see what that looks like. No, needs a bit longer. You should be able to smell when it's nicely cooked. They give a nice aroma. Now obviously it isn't going to go very crisp and golden because we've removed the skin. The skin is the one that actually crisps up, and it's got more fat in it obviously, so that allows it to cook harder. These are quite nice anyway because it's got a golden colour on it. The flour's actually cooked out, and we'll be waiting a couple more minutes on this and then we'll add it to our stock. Here I've washed the leek. And what I've done before I washed it, I cut it in half to see if there's any dirt in the folds. Leeks are quite layered, and sometimes around the root you can actually still see dirt from where you've dug it out of the ground. So what I'm going to do now, I'm not going to do anything special with it. I'm just going to chop nice big chunks like so. And what we're going to do, we're going to saute that off, and then we'll chop the rest of our vegetables up and start assembling our stew. Our parsnips, what I've done, I've chopped the ends off the parsnips because they'll cook quicker, and what I'm going to do is just chop fairly decent sized chunks there, but the thicker ends I've halved, and what we'll do now, we'll just chop these into big chunks. And the woody bit will actually, this bit here in the centre, that should allow it to cook quicker. Now we've halved it. We'll leave our potatoes whole. What we'll do, we'll give them a little wash before we throw them into the pot, and these should take about 10-15 minutes to cook. They're quite small, and we'll put them in halfway through cooking time. So we've finally chopped our parsley up. Parsley leaves will go into our dumplings when we make them, and the stalks are finely diced up, and we'll use that to flavour our chicken stock when we start assembling the chicken stew. Here is my pepper. I've de-seeded it and chopped it up, and what we're going to do is just kind of cut big chunks. The stew's going to be cooking for a fairly long time, best part of an hour, so big chunks is what we want. Let's just stick that in the saucepan, saute that off a little bit. So what we're going to do, we're going to try and cook everything for about 30 minutes, simmering away in its stock. We'll add the potatoes. Now in our big stock pot, or a heavyweight saucepan if you haven't got a stock pot, I've got the parsnips, the carrots, celery, the leeks. I put in the red pepper and the clove of garlic, and that's just sauteed off a little bit. The leek has gone quite soft and tender now, so what I'm going to do, it's time to add in our water and create our stock. Now I'm not going to do anything fancy about boiling chicken bones down. I'm just going to use a normal stock cube, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to put in 1.5 litres of water, and then we'll add our chicken and let this all simmer for about 40 minutes. So there's our stew, the basis of our stew, the vegetables. What we're going to do now, we're going to add in a couple of bay leaves. There we go. And what I've done, I've already added the parsley stalks. I've actually chopped a little bit of rosemary up and a little bit of sage. Sage goes nicely with some chicken, so we can put that in our stock cube. There's going to be salt, so I'm going to let our stock cube dissolve first, give it a stir, and then add salt and pepper afterwards according to what I think is going to be best for our stock. So let's put in our stock cube if it ever wants to come out. Plonk that in now, give that a stir. It's actually smelling quite fragrant now with the rosemary and the sage in here. And we didn't want to put a lot of rosemary and sage because that would just overpower things. So let's just have a quick taste of this. Spoon up. No double dipping. And I'm going to add a lot of pepper here. Pepper adds the spice to your stock. Time for a new pepper grinder, I think. lay it across here. Pepper. This is just black pepper that we're grinding in here. Pepper is the spice which heats your soup up a little bit, and salt will enhance the flavour of the vegetables. So a couple of twists here. Now what we'll do, we'll give that a stir. And have another taste. So where's the spoon? Another spoon out. New spoon, new taste. Right, I've added salt and pepper. I think that's quite nice now. I could put a little bit more salt in, but my doctor said I can't have any. So bugger him. I'll give it another taste in a minute, and we might add some more. Now I'm going to add the chicken breast now, the chicken thighs now, and we'll leave that to simmer for 40 minutes. So my chicken is lovely and golden now. So all we need to do now is drop that into our stock. Let that simmer for about 30 minutes, and then we'll add in our mushrooms, which don't take a long time to cook, and we'll add in our potatoes. This chicken stew is very, very tasty, if I do say so myself. Now I've given it a little try. It doesn't need seasoning anymore. Another 10 minutes of cooking will actually soften the potatoes enough to actually serve up. The potatoes are only small, and then all you need to do is take out the bay leaves that we put in there, and then you just need to serve it up. Serve it with some crusty bread. It would be fantastic. I have a little tip for you. If you think your chicken stock and your chicken stew is not thick enough, and you want it thicker, in here what I've done, I've taken a couple of tablespoons of corn flour and a couple of tablespoons of water. And what you need to do, just use your finger. You could stir it with a spoon, but then you need to make sure that all the corn flour is dissolved. So just stir the corn flour around. You can feel it getting thick, sticky. Just keep giving that a stir with your finger. You want to dissolve all the corn flour around the edges. And what you're doing, you're making a nice little paste. Well, not really a paste, but a little bit of a slurry. Now this flour will eventually cook out into the stew from the heat of the stew and actually thicken your stew while it's cooking. Now I'm going to have this on standby for my stew, just in case I have a thinner stew than I was looking for.